What if the last thing you ever saw was someone smiling at you? Not a warm smile, not a friendly smile, a wide, hollow, dead-eyed grin that told you your time is up. That's the nightmare at the heart of Smile, the 2022 psychological horror film that made $217 million at the box office and had audiences too scared to sleep. Today, I'm breaking down every terrifying moment from beginning to end. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Plot in Minutes, and on this channel, we recap the scariest movies so you can experience the horror without sleeping with the lights on. Let's get into it. We open on Dr. Rose Cotter, a therapist at a psychiatric hospital. Rose is dedicated, compassionate, and clearly carries her own emotional baggage. We later learn she witnessed her mother's suicide as a child and has lived with that trauma ever since. One day, a new patient is brought in, a young PhD student named Laura Weaver. Laura is completely unhinged. She tells Rose that ever since she witnessed her professor's suicide, she's been seeing terrifying visions of people smiling at her, people who aren't really there. She says the entity uses the faces of people she knows, wearing that same horrifying grin. Then, right in front of Rose, Laura's face twists into that same wide, unnatural smile, and she slits her own throat. Rose is left traumatized, but this is only the beginning, because now the curse has passed to her. Rose starts experiencing disturbing visions almost immediately. She sees patients smiling at her in eerie, unnatural ways. She hears strange noises. She sees a figure in her home. No one believes her. Her fiancé, Trevor, thinks she's having a breakdown from witnessing the suicide. Her therapist says the same. Her sister, Holly, dismisses her. Rose starts to unravel at work, lashing out at a young patient during a birthday party in one of the film's most unsettling scenes, where she watches a woman smile at a child and then snap the child's neck. Except it wasn't real. It was a vision. Rose teams up with her ex-boyfriend Joel, a detective, to investigate the curse. They trace it back through a chain of victims. Each person witnessed someone else's suicide, then died by suicide themselves within days. The curse passes from person to person through traumatic witnessing. It is a supernatural chain of trauma. They track the chain back further and further, finding police reports, death records, until they reach a man named Robert Talley, the origin point of this particular chain. Robert is in prison, and when Rose visits him, he tells her something chilling. You can't escape it. The entity feeds on trauma, and it will wear the faces of the people you love until you die. Rose figures out that the only way to break the curse might be to face the entity directly, not to pass it to someone else. She drives to her childhood home, the place where she witnessed her mother die, the place where her trauma was born. In the abandoned house, Rose has a vision of confronting her childhood self and her mother. She thinks she's making peace with her past. She thinks she's winning. But the entity has been playing her the entire time. The entity reveals itself in its true form, a massive, grotesque, terrifying creature made of darkness and suffering. It has been feeding on her trauma all along. Rose cannot fight it. She cannot outrun it. The entity possesses Rose and forces her to set herself on fire right in front of Joel, who had followed her to the house. Joel watches in horror as Rose smiles that same awful smile and burns. The film ends with Joel, now having witnessed Rose's death, staring into his rearview mirror. He sees his own face wearing that same smile. The curse continues. Joel is the next victim. The deeper meaning of Smile is actually a powerful metaphor for generational trauma and depression. The entity represents trauma itself, something passed from person to person, feeding on pain, wearing familiar faces, impossible to outrun if you face it alone. Rose's inability to deal with her mother's death was the open door the entity walked through. It's a horror film, yes, but it's also a devastating portrait of what happens when we run from our pain instead of healing it. And that was Smile, one of the most psychologically disturbing horror films of 2022. The kind of movie that doesn't just scare you in the moment, but lingers. Because what's scarier than a monster? The idea that your own trauma is the door that lets it in. If you enjoyed this recap, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss a recap. Comment below, do you think Rose ever had a chance to break the curse, or was she doomed from the moment she witnessed Laura's death? I'll see you in the next one, and whatever you do, don't smile back.